I was thinking about going to Burning Man this year, honestly, just to get out of the house and relax, maybe with some friends and dance for a few days. Burning Man, as you might already know, happens in Nevada in the middle of a desert. A storm happened there, which is, of course, extremely rare, and it obliterated the pseudo city. It can definitely be expensive to go to festivals of this kind. Tickets range anywhere from 600 to 1,000 or more dollars, and of course you can buy ticket insurance and parking passes and all this extra nonsense. It takes quite a bit of planning. Yeah, of course you generally want to bring, or if you go camping or otherwise, you generally have to bring food and water and supplies and probably a change of clothes if you want to be somewhat sanitary, or like a portable shower. It's nice to go with friends, you know. It's a cool way to relax and have some fun. Between Friday and Saturday, attendees were told not to leave the desert after the rainfall. It's about 110 miles north of Reno. And, what's pretty funny is DJ Diplo and comedian Chris Rock were seen and spotted, and they posted, of course, on social media showing that they hitchhiked a ride out of the mess. I mean, who blames them? Like, some of the news media that I read talked about how they were privileged to get out of this situation, but it's like, what? So are we expecting them to stay with the performance and the shows being canceled? And the inclement weather? I mean, literally everybody was trying to get out. Why would we want, why are we going to be upset at Chris Rock and Diplo? Diplo posted a story on Instagram showing he and Chris Rock had escaped on the back of a fan's pickup truck. They had walked for 6 miles through the mud before they were picked up and hitchhiked a ride. And the festival closed to vehicles after a half of an inch of rain fell on Friday. By the way, this desert gets a mean average rainfall every year of 6.75 inches. Extremely tiny amounts, relatively speaking. The event traditionally culminates in the torching of a large wooden effigy shaped like a man and a wooden temple structure during the last couple nights. The fires, of course, were postponed due to the inclement weather. One death was reported, but Burning Man's CEO said the situation was not as dire as one's being portrayed. Of course, there's an obvious potential conflict of interest there. Many social media accounts, as I will show, were reporting that things were fine. Thankfully, we did have some sane people posting on social media. But what I find most interesting is, of course, some of the comments on Twitter. I mean, seriously, what is with all the hate for the people that went to Burning Man and happened to get unlucky? There were even fake posts on Twitter about extra deaths and a viral outbreak. I mean, there probably was a virus of some sort circulating. I mean, COVID rates and hospitalizations are actually going up right now. A lot of my patients have COVID. But thankfully, Elon Musk has implemented a fact-checking bot on Twitter. I think that's a really good idea to eliminate or at least reduce some of the fake news reports. Some people on Twitter are yelling at the top of their lungs and somehow drawing parallels between the Burning Man festival and things such as the homeless crisis, which, I mean, of course, is a huge issue, especially on the west, anywhere on the west coast, and pretty close to, I didn't know that Reno or the desert had a homeless crisis, but I guess it does happen. I mean, I'm reminded daily it does happen in many different locations, but I thought the South was actually pretty good, at least from where I have been. Of course, other commenters were being racially discriminating, making things about race, and of course, like I said, spreading information about a viral epidemic happening there. To me, it's just incredulous. I mean, using the same logic as some of the social media posters, you should never leave your house or go anywhere to enjoy a festival as long as there is a single homeless person on the street. I mean, I know it is kind of a tiresome subject, but putting on an event like this actually probably does provide an opportunity for some people. Not only is it nice to dance and have fun and mingle, but you also have to consider that people have to set things up, and those that's might be for somebody meaningful work. There's also so there's stages and transport and parking. I mean, when I've gone to one of these things before, there are pretty regular, average, everyday people assisting set up the venue. So there is, some of the money probably does go to the performers, who are already, of course, filthy rich. But nonetheless, I think you get my point. One woman posts, only people of a certain skin color are the ones that go to Burning Man, and that is because they are dumb. Obviously, this is ridiculous. No person with any sort of reasonable, rational thought would ever say such a thing. She also says that everybody's on drugs and everybody is getting together and doing certain things and helicopters and their vans, which of course is an exaggeration. Again, I've been to festivals before, and I mean, really, I just like to dance and listen to music. So I didn't know that was a crime, or I deserved tons of hate for spending my hard-earned money on tickets or liking to listen to music or dance. Thankfully, there were some sane people posting online stating that even though there was a pretty big mess with the water mixing with the mud, of course that wasn't really fun, but that people were mostly okay, just kind of stuck and stranded maybe for a day or two, and perhaps low on some food items. Thankfully, again, when you go to an event like this, there are people around, and when I went to the beach, for example, one time, and I was a little bit hungry, I started chatting with some folks, and they ended up giving me a hamburger, and it was actually like really, really good. And that's why social support is so important. So thankfully, it seems like most people were okay, despite all of the vitriol and insanity happening on Twitter. When you go to a festival like this, yeah, sure, you can check the weather. People on Twitter were laughing and disparaging these poor folks that got rained on in the desert. But really, I mean, you can check the weather and it changes. The forecast where I am changes daily. And I know when I went to the last festival that I did, we were really hoping the weather would be nice. Predicting the weather, it changes daily. Just this weekend, it was supposed to have been sunny here, and then, of course, it was cloudy for the last 3 days. Sam Harris recently commented on in a podcast of his that since leaving Twitter, his life is tremendously better. You know, I would have to agree. And I guess that is the main message behind this video today, is that there is a lot of hate circulating for people that honestly were probably just trying to have a good time. I mean, Burning Man happens, once a year? These festivals don't really come along that often. And there are, I guess, quite a number of them. But all I can say is probably consciously give yourself a break from social media, including Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's hard to even tell what's real anymore. I would have to recommend spend more time looking at rainbows.
Could you guys stop with all of this nonsense? I am here on the playa at my hospital and everybody's okay. There is no Ebola. Someone said somebody tested positive for Ebola.
What's up, everybody? Straight from Black Rock City. There's a little bit about this one that's going to be talked about.
It's time to stop, okay?